Studies revealed Monday that 57.3% of Argentinians disapprove of the administration of President Javier Milei. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation said to be looking at a shooting near Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump as an assassination attempt. And the governments of Russia and Egypt stressed the urgent need for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and for the Israeli occupier to allow unrestricted humanitarian access to the area. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Studies revealed on Monday that 57.3% of Argentinians disapprove of the administration of President Javier Milei. The survey conducted by Suban Córdoba Asociados showed that 43% of respondents said the head of state had not achieved a positive change in the country during his 9 months in office. On the other hand, it indicated that more than 55% believed the country was going in the wrong direction, while 57.5% affirmed that the situation in Argentina will be the same or worse in 1 year's time. The polls also underlined that Argentinians currently considered that all promises made by Javier Milei were a lie and that distrust of his administration was spreading throughout the country. The survey comes out right after President Javier Milei submitted on Sunday the 2025 budget outlining policy priorities to Congress. In an unprecedented move, Milei personally presented the budget to Congress, denouncing Argentina's record of macroeconomic mismanagement and vowing to veto anything that compromised fiscal discipline. Milei's harsh austerity package has inflicted deep economic pain on Argentina, with nearly 60% of Argentines now living in poverty. Milei managed to balance the budget largely by cutting financial transfers to the provinces, halting public works projects, eliminating energy and transport subsidies, and refusing to raise salaries and pensions in the face of the country's sky-high inflation. In Argentina, social movements and human rights organizations called for a mobilization on the occasion of the 48th anniversary of the Night of the Pencils. The mobilization for the Night of the Pencils have been called for 2 p.m. local time in the main cities of the country. The demonstrators are expected to raise a claim against the administration of Javier Milei for its denialist policy and its links with the military sectors that were part of the dictatorship. The purpose of the annual mobilization is to remember the students who were kidnapped, tortured, and murdered by members of the police of the province of Buenos Aires during the dictatorship on September 16, 1976. The president of Bolivia, Luis Arce, addressed the nation on Sunday and asked citizens to avoid at all costs confrontations between brothers. This way, he asked former President Evo Morales not to damage the country and affirmed that the Constitution disqualifies him from being a presidential candidate. The statement comes after Morales called to a national march on road blockades for his presidential candidacy to be admitted. In this context, Arce recalled that throughout national history, the recovery of democracy has had a high cost for the people, which is why its care has become a collective task of the first order. He added that his mission is to avoid confrontations and violence between brothers and the destruction of the plurinational state. Venezuelan intelligence dismantled an international network that sought to generate violent actions in the country. In addition, an arsenal of weapons arriving from the United States was seized. Let's see the details.
Venezuelan intelligence seized more than 400 rifles and pistols sent from the US. They were intended to enter Venezuela through normal shipments to be used by terrorist groups. Some of the weapons are for exclusive use by the United States Army. The Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, showed a video where FBI officials were present at the warehouse, where the weapons were sent from in Orlando, Florida, U.S.
We reached this number of rifles, more than 400 rifles. What were these rifles for? Let's go to the second point. These rifles were not for an exhibition. These rifles were for terrorist acts that were going to happen here in Venezuela. Terrorism promoted by political sectors in Venezuela.
Members of an international network linked to the wave of post-election violence were also arrested. All of them had previously passed through a hotel in Colombia, arrived in Caracas, and went to Maracay, in the state of Aragua. They are linked to a fugitive from justice for the murder of a student and an opposition leader who participated in the violent post-election actions, also detained.
She appears in a demonstration in Upata. She lives in Upata. She is a contact of these gentlemen, of these two Spaniards. They ask her via telephone how they can buy explosives, how they can contact a group to do some special work, and on her phone. With them in direct communication, they plan the assassination of the mayoress of Upata. Needless to say, a revolutionary mayoress.
The attack plan had several edges. Among those arrested is an American hacker, Aaron Barrett. Another prisoner from the same country is Wilbert Joseph Castañeda, an active military officer who is part of an explosives group with a course in river operations and parachuting. He spent 10 months in the Afghanistan war and 6 months in Iraq. He traveled to Colombia in 2012 for an exchange of knowledge. Venezuelan authorities revealed WhatsApp conversations where Castañeda coordinated armed actions. The White House stated on Wednesday, September 4th, that the detainee was in Venezuela for personal matters.
But it is the White House that assumes the defense of this gentleman. They immediately say, "No, he was safe without permission." It's normal for them to say that. He was on personal business. It seems to be normal in the United States for a military man of this type to go out and do personal things and not inform anyone. Active duty military.
Another of those arrested is Jan Darmovzel, of Czech origin, and a member of the Commando AZ mercenary team. He wrote down his plan in a notebook to take over the airport and attack the Miraflores Palace. Diosdado Cabello denounced the link between the mercenaries and the intelligence agencies of Spain and the United States.
The CIA is in charge of this operation, and the other that does not surprise us either. But knowing that they always had a low profile, knowing that the CIA operates in this area, which is the National Intelligence Center of Spain. These two captured people say so. They even talk about a group of mercenaries that they are looking for to bring them to Venezuela with the very clear objective of assassinating President Nicolas Maduro, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, myself and other comrades who are leaders of our party.
The minister also reported the arrest of persons who were planning to detonate explosives at the embassy of Argentina in Caracas with the purpose of harming the Venezuelan government through a false positive.
The president of Seychelles, Wavel Ramkalawan, will arrive in Cuba on Monday to begin an official visit to the Caribbean nation, during which he will meet with his counterpart Miguel Díaz-Canel. This way, the East African president's agenda on the island includes several visits to places of academic, historical, and cultural interest, in addition to health institutions. The head of state and his Cuban counterpart are expected to sign agreements to boost the development of diplomatic ties and cooperation between the Antillean island and the African country. Ramkalawan will also meet with the president of the National Assembly of Popular Power, Esteban Lasso, and the Minister of Public Health, José Ángel Portal. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) said to be looking at a shooting near Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump as an assassination attempt. The incident occurred on Sunday while the former president was playing golf at his course in Florida. The FBI reported the attacker threw an assault rifle and other objects at the scene after Secret Services fired at him. Alternative media outlets revealed that the shooter, Ryan Ruth, was a strong supporter of the neo-Nazi Ukrainian Azov battalion, whitewashed and supported by the U.S. Senate Department. Ruth's X account was also suspended.
Former President Donald Trump is safe and unharmed following a protective incident shortly before 2 p.m. on Sunday at Trump International Golf Club at West Palm Beach. The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line, and this matter is under investigation.
The governments of China and Brazil celebrate the 50th anniversary of the establishment of bilateral diplomatic relations. Beijing was the venue of a meeting between the Vice President of China, Han Zheng, and the Brazilian Ambassador Marcos Galvão, in which they discussed the past and future history of China-Brazil relations, which, according to Han Zheng, have been constantly developing through a fruitful cooperation in various fields. For his part, Galvão pointed out that Brazil gives great importance to the growth of relations with China. The parties are working in line with the agreements reached by the two heads of state to strengthen the mutual development strategies and deepen beneficial cooperation. In Brazil, the fire department continues efforts to extinguish wildfires ranging in Brazil National Park, where smoke is affecting major cities. Amid one of the biggest droughts in Brazil's history, the Brazilian National Park became the epicenter of a series of wildfires. Authorities warned that the fire has caused cities such as Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo to be affected by the smoke. According to official figures from the Chico Mendes Institute for the Conservation of Biodiversity, responsible for the management of Brazil's national parks, so far the flames have affected about 1,200 hectares. This is the largest fire to occur in the city this year. In the Philippines, at least 6 dead and 11 injured have been reported following the strike of Typhoon Bebinca in central and southern regions of the country. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council confirmed that at least 330,000 people were affected after the typhoon struck the Asian country. According to the agency, so far evacuation centers are sheltering more than 30,000 people. The authorities continue to be mobilized to manage the emergency and to calculate the damage to the infrastructures caused by the climatic phenomenon, which, according to meteorological experts, have been the strongest in 75 years. In Thailand, the 2-month-old pygmy hippo Mudang has been inciting media attention and endorsements from organizations like the Royal Thai Embassy, which can be helpful for safeguarding her species. The International Union for Conservation of Nature classified pygmy hippos as endangered species, as there are less than 3,000 in the wild. The baby hippo has doubled visitors at Khao Keu Open Zoo as she became the star of social media, causing several companies to promote their products with modern themes. However, mistreatments were reported that prompted the director of the zoo to install CCTV cameras around the hippo's enclosures. In this context, a zookeeper, the director, and a visitor shared their views on the phenomenon.
Pygmy hippos are nearly extinct, so I hope that her cute video clips would play a part that help people love her and conserve pygmy hippos.
As the zoo, we have a duty to lead in wildlife conservation outside the habitat here, so it's our mission to perpetuate the species for as long as possible.
At first, I did not know that pygmy hippos were endangered, but I recently learned from social media posts that there are a limited number in the wild and they are endangered, so I want them to be preserved.
We have a second show break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final show break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The governments of Russia and Egypt stressed the urgent need for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and for the Israeli occupier to allow unrestricted humanitarian access to the area. The statements were made by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and his Egyptian counterpart Badr Abdelati during talks held in Moscow on Monday. The two top diplomats assessed the current situation in the Gaza Strip in view of the persistent Israeli bombardments and reiterated the need to establish a Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital. In the talks, the minister discussed other international issues, including the situation in Syria, Libya, Sudan, and the Horn of Africa, as well as the conflict in Ukraine.
Egypt and some other countries aspire to find recommendations that would be acceptable for both Israel and Hamas. We welcome any steps that are aimed at stopping the bloodshed as soon as possible and ensuring a sustainable permanent ceasefire. And we are striving for the same in the United Nations Security Council. We are acting in parallel with our Egyptian friends.
Meanwhile, on Monday, Israeli genocidal forces struck the Gaza Strip overnight, claiming at least 27 lives. 10 of the fatal victims, including 4 women and 2 children, were on a house hit by shelling, which injured 15 others in the Nuseirat refugee camp in central Gaza. All were taken to Ouda hospital. Meanwhile, Israeli attacks have brought about at least 5 deaths at a bakery in Al-Mawasi, and another 10 fatalities, among them children, have been registered in the Zaytun City and Sheikh Radwan neighborhoods. Moreover, another 2 Gazans didn't survive an overnight attack on Rafah. Rescue teams have been actively searching for survivors on the debris. In all, Gazan Health Ministry amounted the death toll to 41,226, in addition to 95,413 injured so far.
We were sitting at home when we were surprised by a missile that fell on the area, causing what felt like an earthquake in the area. The people here are simple, trying to live and have nothing to do with anything. Children, young men and women were sitting in their homes. They all have been killed.
On Monday, heavy rainfalls made harsher the lives of Palestinians in central Gaza Strip. In this regard, on Sunday, the Palestinian Civil Defense warned Gazans of expected heavy rainfalls for the upcoming week, urging them to take due measures to face the weather event, particularly the displaced in tents, shelters and damaged homes. Expectedly, flash floods have impacted those sheltered in Al-Sawaida refugee camp in central Gaza following 5-minute downpours. In this context, a displaced Palestinian describes his suffering.
The rain fell on us, and we were flooded. The roof is rickety and made of ribbons. Our flour was ruined. The rainy season hasn't even started yet, but 5 minutes of rain has already flooded us, as you can see. The mattresses are damaged, and I don't know where to go. The rainy season and winter haven't even started yet. We're still in September. What are we going to do when it really starts raining?
The Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation targeting Israeli military positions in the Palestinian region of Jaffa. The operation was carried out with a new hypersonic ballistic missile that succeeded in reaching its target. This operation is part of the 5th phase that seeks to respond to the Israeli attacks and to bypass all obstacles and interception systems on land and sea, including those of the U.S. The armed forces stated that the Israeli aggressions will not prevent Yemen from fulfilling its moral duty of supporting the Palestinian people. The president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, urged unity and solidarity among Islamic countries in the region. During his first speech to the press, the president urged to improve agreements with foreign countries in order to solve internal and external problems. Pezeshkian recalled that to abolish borders between neighboring countries goes back to Islam's call for unity among Muslims. The head of government also acknowledged the U.S. role in dividing the region and further escalating the ongoing conflicts.
The U.S. should show us first that they don't have any enmity with us, as we don't have any enmity with them. We haven't gone and established military bases around the U.S. We haven't sanctioned the Americans. They have sanctioned us. They have installed bases. They are threatening us. They shouldn't do such things. We are brothers with them too, and we have nothing to do with them.
The Russian Foreign Intelligence Service denounced that Ukraine is preparing a false flag attack with numerous victims in order to accuse Moscow. According to Russian intelligence, U.S. agents would be promoting the operation targeting a children's center or a hospital in the territory under Kyiv's control. The Russian agency warned that the United States intends to make a wide coverage of the tragedy with the participation of mainstream media in order to take advantage of the situation and reinforce its pressure campaign on Iran and North Korea for allegedly delivering ballistic missiles to Moscow. The Foreign Intelligence Service added that after similar plans dismantled by Moscow, more and more people believe in the Ukrainian responsibility for these aggressions. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. With TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.